Okay, guys, I'm going to jump right in. This is Exodus chapter 8, King James in the Message version in one video. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Go unto Pharaoh, say unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Let my people go, that they may serve me. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all the borders with frogs, and the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thine house, and into thine bedchamber, and upon thy bed, and unto the house of thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thine ovens, and into thy kneading troughs. And the frogs shall come up both on thee, and upon thy people, and upon thy servants. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Stretch forth thine hand with thy rod over the streams, over the rivers, over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up upon the land of Egypt. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up, and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, brought up frogs upon the land of Egypt. And then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron, and said, Entreat the Lord, that he may take away the frogs from me, and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may do sacrifice unto the Lord. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, Glory over me, when shall I entreat for thee, and for thy servants, and for thy people, to destroy the frogs from thee and thy houses, that they may remain in the river only? And he said, Tomorrow. And he said, Be it according to thy word, that thou mayest know that there is none unlike unto the Lord our God. And the frog shall depart from thee, and from thy houses, and from thy servants, and from thy people, they shall remain in the river only. And Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moses cried unto the Lord because of the frogs which he brought against Pharaoh. And the Lord did according to the word of Moses, and the frogs died out of the houses, out of the villages, out of the fields. And they gathered them together upon the heaps, and the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart, hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Stretch out thy rod, and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod, and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in men and beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. So there was lice upon man, upon beast. Then the magician said unto Pharaoh, This is the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. And the Lord said unto Moses, Rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth in the water, to the water, and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord, Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and unto thy houses. And the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of lice. and also the ground whereon they are. And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, and in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end thou mayest know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. And I will put a division between my people and thy people. Tomorrow shall this sign be. And the Lord did so. And there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and unto his servants' houses, and all the land of Egypt. The land was corrupted by reason of the swarm of flies. And Pharaoh called to Moses and for Aaron, and said, Go ye, sacrifice to your God in the land. And Moses said, It is not meet so to do. For we shall sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians to the Lord our God. Lo, shall we sacrifice the abominations of the Egyptians before their eyes? And will they not stone us? We will go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord our God, as he shall command us. And Pharaoh said, I will let you go, that you may sacrifice to the Lord your God in the wilderness. Only ye shall not go very far away, entreat for me. And Moses said, Behold, I will go from thee, and I will entreat the Lord, that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people tomorrow. But let not Pharaoh deal deceitfully any more, and not letting the people go to sacrifice to the Lord. And Moses went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord, and the Lord did accordingly to the word of Moses. And he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, from his people. There remained not one. And Pharaoh hardened his heart at this time also. Neither would he let the people go. I'm jumping right into the message of Exodus chapter 8. God said to Moses, Go to Pharaoh and tell him God's message. Release my people so that they can worship me. If you refuse to release them, I'm warning you, I'll hit the whole country with frogs. The Nile will swarm with frogs. They'll come up into your houses, into your bedroom, into your beds, into your servants' quarters, among the people, into your ovens and pots and pans. They'll be all over you, all over everyone. Frogs everywhere, on and everything. God said to Moses, Tell Aaron, wave your staff over the rivers and canals and ponds. Bring up frogs on the land of Egypt. Aaron stretched out his staff over the waters of Egypt, and a mop of frogs came up and covered the country. But again, the magicians did the same thing, using their incantations. They also produced frogs in Egypt. Pharaoh called in Moses and Aaron and say, Pray to God to rid us of these frogs. I'll release the people so that they can make their sacrifices and worship God. Moses said to Pharaoh, Certainly. Set the time. When do you want the frogs out of here, away from your servants and people and out of your houses? You'll be rid of frogs except for those in the Nile. Make it tomorrow. Moses said, Tomorrow it is. So you'll realize that there is no God like our God. The frogs will be gone. You and your houses and your servants and your people free of frogs. The only frogs left will be the ones in the Nile. Moses and Aaron left Pharaoh, and Moses prayed to God about the frogs he had brought on Pharaoh. God responded to Moses' prayer. The frogs died off. Horses, country yards, fields, all free of frogs. They piled on They piled the frogs in heaps. The country reeked of dead frogs. But when Pharaoh saw that he had some breathing room, he got stubborn again and wouldn't listen to Moses and Aaron, just as God had said. God said to Moses, "Tell Aaron, take your staff and strike the dust. The dust will turn into gnats all over Egypt." He did it. Aaron grabbed his staff and struck the dust of the earth, and it turned into gnats, gnats all over people and animals. All the dust of the earth turned into gnats, gnats everywhere in Egypt. The magicians tried to produce gnats with their spells, but this time they couldn't do it. There were gnats everywhere, all over people and animals. The magician said to Pharaoh, "This is God's doing." But Pharaoh was stubborn and wouldn't listen, just as God had said. God said to Moses, "Get up early in the morning and confront Pharaoh. As he goes down to the water, tell him God's message, release my people so that they can worship me. If you don't release my people, I'll release swarms of flies on you, your servants, your people, your homes. The houses of the Egyptians and even the ground under their feet will be thick with flies. But when it happens, I'll set Goshen, where my people live, aside as a sanctuary. No flies in Goshen. That will show you that I am God in this land. I will make a sharp distinction between your people and mine. This sign will occur tomorrow." And God said, and God did this, did just that, and God did just that. Thick swarms of flies of Pharaoh's palace and the houses of his servants all over Egypt, the country ruined by flies. Pharaoh called in Moses and Aaron and said, "Go ahead, sacrifice to your God, but do it here in this country." Moses said, "That would not be wise. What we sacrifice to our God would give great offense to Egyptians. If we openly sacrifice what is so deeply offensive to Egyptians, they'll kill us. Let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to our God, just as he instructed us." Pharaoh said, "All right, I'll release you to go and sacrifice to your God in the wilderness. Only don't go far. Now pray for me." Moses said, "As soon as I leave here, I will pray to God that tomorrow the flies will leave Pharaoh, his servants, and his people. But don't play games with us and change your mind about releasing us to sacrifice to God." Moses left Pharaoh and prayed to God. God did what Moses asked. He got rid of the flies from Pharaoh and his servants and his people. There wasn't a fly left, but Pharaoh became stubborn once again and didn't release the people. I'm not going to take forever because I'm still recovering. But it's just kind of this pattern going on. These are the wonders and things that God was talking about in the first place that he was going to inflict upon Pharaoh. But again, I'm just reiterating what, again, this book is reiterating. The book of Exodus, which is basically, they need to be freed and they're in bondage. They're being abused. And he's remembered them. He wants to get them out. He's going to get them out. He's already said he's going to do that. And now it's just basically a matter of time. He's even given Moses and Aaron a preview, the prophecy of what is supposed to happen and how he's going to free them. So, he's already even let them know that Pharaoh's heart's going to be hard and he's going to, play like he's going to work with them, but then take it back and lie. He already told them that. And I got to tell you, I've been in situations like that in my life where people make deals with you, but then they just renege on it and lie for no reason, like you didn't do anything. And, well, God sees all of that. So I believe in situations like this that you might be living today, in which, maybe someone is being a Pharaoh in your life. Well, God sees it, and I believe that He will deliver the situation in its right timing, just like this book of Exodus. You just got to stay in belief and do your part just by walking with God and doing your best to be a decent human being, and doing the right thing. Really, believing that His words will not return void. And I like that it says constantly in here. It just keeps saying, just as God had said, just as God had said, just as God had said, because He's already told them what's going to happen. So they're just living out this thing that He's already prophesied, I guess. So it's really interesting. I always say that, but there's really not too much going on. Just another thing that stood out to me was verse 18 and 19. The lice coming out of the dust, or the gnats, whichever version you're reading. The magicians were copying everything. From the last chapter, they were copying the snake, but their snakes gotten eaten up by the one snake that God had made, because they were just carbon copies of what He was doing. There was just nothing original about what they were doing, and they didn't really understand the creation itself to really create the same version. It was just like a much lesser version. And it only took one of God's snakes to eat up these carbon copy magician snakes. And the same thing's happening here, with the blood in the last chapter. The same thing's happening here with the frogs. They were just able to produce their own version, but it just wasn't as good. And here with the lice, they couldn't even produce that. They couldn't even try to carbon copy it for some reason. It says here in verse 18 and 19 of Exodus 8, and the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. So there were lice upon man and upon beast. Then the Egyptians said unto Pharaoh, This is the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said. They even recognized that it was the Creator. This is His work. They couldn't reproduce it. They couldn't even carbon copy it this time. So God is becoming more and more and more advanced in His afflictions, His wonders, so to speak. The first few wonders that He was able to make, they were able to kind of produce, but even then they couldn't match it. And now they can't even try to produce a fake version. So it just makes you wonder what He's going to do next, guys. And if you want to find out, we're going to read chapter 9 tomorrow. It's kind of a little tricky getting on here because I've just become a lot more busy lately, but I always want to make time for God. So I'll see you guys tomorrow in chapter 9. We're going to see what else happens. I mean, obviously, Pharaoh's hardening his heart, and he just keeps reneging on his deal. He keeps saying that he's going to set them free, and he keeps wanting mercy for himself. And they give him mercy. Moses gives him mercy. God gives him mercy. Aaron gives him mercy. The people of Israel gives him mercy, even though he's the abuser. And as soon as something goes wrong for him, he wants to be free. He doesn't want it to happen to him, but he's really quick to try to inflict it upon others without any empathy or remorse. I just find that type of character to be disturbing. It's just disgusting. But I'm so glad that there is a God that takes care of characters like that. If it isn't today, well, count your days, because there is a time that it is coming where you will reap what you sow if you treat people really badly, especially people of God, especially people who didn't do anything wrong. There will be a time that you'll have to reap what you sow and pay for it. Some people call it karma, but it's really the judgment of God, the Creator. So I've learned in my recent days just not to really worry too much about much to do with this life and what people try to do and things. It just doesn't really matter. It's just a bunch of ridiculousness. And in reality, this life is just a test. It's a test while God is watching your character. He wants to see what kind of soul you are. And you get to show Him with how you decide to live your life and treat others and yourself. And I hope that I pass my version of whatever test I'm under. I'm trying really hard, and I was just talking to him about this the other day, just so much that if I don't make it, I'm going to give it my best shot to make it. And I hope that it is good enough for him to accept me in the end after all this, that he can see that I really tried to be a really good person. And even if I make mistakes, I just really want him to see that. So I think he does. Anyway, we're going to see what happens in Exodus chapter 9 tomorrow. And I appreciate you guys for watching. Feel free to comment and leave any notes that stand out to you. I really like talking about the Word of God with others. Sometimes people point out things that I don't see and vice versa. And it's just really cool to just kind of talk about His Word. Just talk about Him, and His ways. So I appreciate you guys. All of you guys who subscribed and have been really patient while I was recovering. I'm feeling a lot better now, and it's just getting better every day. And life's a blessing, and the life that God has created for me is a blessing, and it's just getting better all the time. And I'm just praying that for all of you guys, that if you just stay with God and keep reading His Word, even if it's just a verse a day, it can just really help increase your hope and your joy and just peace. So I appreciate you guys for reading with me today, and watching me read, and hopefully reading along with me and getting something out of this. And I pray just many, many, many blessings over you as always, because I love you guys. So God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow.